Hello everyone, welcome back. This one isn't just drama, this is survival. Weatherfield has seen its fair share of chaos, secrets and emotional fallout, but what's unfolding between Todd Grimshaw and Theo Silverton feels different. This isn't just another complicated relationship spiraling out of control. This is something darker, something that creeps in slowly and tightens its grip before anyone fully realizes what's happening. And by the time Todd understands the reality he's trapped in, it's already too late to simply walk away. What starts as an intense, almost magnetic connection quickly turns into a suffocating psychological trap. Theo's presence shifts from charming to controlling, from attentive to invasive, and suddenly Todd is no longer in a relationship, he's navigating a minefield. Every word, every reaction, every moment becomes loaded with tension, and when Todd finally reaches his breaking point, it's not a clean or heroic moment. It's messy, desperate, and terrifyingly real. At first, there's something almost alluring about Theo. He carries this intensity that pulls people in. The kind of presence that makes you feel seen, understood, even special. Todd, with his complicated past and emotional scars, is naturally drawn to that. You can almost picture those early interactions, the low hum of conversation, the subtle smiles, the sense that maybe, just maybe, this could be something different. But that feeling doesn't last. It shifts slowly, almost imperceptibly. At first, Theo's words start to carry a different weight. Compliments begin to sound like expectations. Concern turns into criticism, and Todd, instead of pushing back, starts to adjusting himself, changing how he speaks, how he reacts, how much of himself he shows. Just to keep things calm, you can imagine the setting, a quiet room, maybe the faint whirring of a fan in the background. The kind of silence that feels heavy rather than peaceful. Todd sitting there, shoulders slightly tense, eyes flicking toward Theo, trying to read the mood. Because now every moment feels like a test. Say the wrong thing, react the wrong way, and the atmosphere shifts instantly. Theo's behavior becomes unpredictable. One minute he's warm, almost affectionate, pulling Todd back in with just enough reassurance to keep him hooked. The next, there is a sharpness, an edge that cuts through any sense of safety. It's that constant back and forth that keeps Todd off balance, never quite sure where he stands, and that uncertainty starts to seep into everything. Todd begins second guessing himself constantly. You can see it in the hesitation in his voice, the way he pauses before speaking, like he's running every possible outcome through his head. Even something as simple as making a decision becomes overwhelming, because it feels like there is always a consequences waiting on the other side. Friends start to notice. At first it's subtle. Maybe Todd seems quieter than usual, a little distracted, but then it becomes harder to ignore. There is a tension in his posture, a flicker of fear in his eyes that he can't quite hide. It's the kind of change that makes people pause and think, something's not right here. But Todd doesn't open up, and honestly you can feel why. There is this mix of shame and confusion, like he doesn't fully trust his own perspective anymore. Theo has been so effective at reshaping the narrative, making Todd feel responsible, making him question his own reactions. It's not just control, it's psychological erosion. Inside Todd's own home, there is no sense of comfort anymore. The walls don't feel safe. Every sound, every movement carries this underlying tension. It's like being watched. Even when no one's there, that constant pressure builds and builds, until it starts to feel unbearable. And the breaking point, it doesn't come in one big explosion. It's not a dramatic shout or a single moment of clarity. It's a series of smaller fractures, each one chipping away at Todd's ability to cope, until finally something inside him just gives. You can almost feel that moment. The air thick, his chest tight, his thoughts racing faster than he can process them. And then it hits him. He can't stay, not another minute, not another second, because staying doesn't just mean enduring, it means losing himself completely. So he moves quickly, quietly, with this urgency that borders on panic, gathering whatever he can, barely thinking, just acting. His senses are heightened, every creak, every distant sound makes his heart jump. He is constantly looking over his shoulder, expecting Theo to appear at any moment. And when he steps out into Weatherfield, everything feels different. Streets that once felt familiar now feel exposed. Unpredictable, every passerby becomes a question: can they help? Will they notice? Or are they just another unknown in a situation that's spiraling out of control? Meanwhile, Theo isn't oblivious. There's a shift, a subtle loss of control that he can feel, and his response, it's not calm. It's not rational, it's sharper, more desperate, more invasive. The tension between them doesn't fade, it intensifies, even in absence. Todd's escape isn't just physical, it's psychological. He's not just running from Theo, he's trying to break free from everything Theo has made him believe about himself, and that's not something that happens instantly. It lingers, follows him, clings to every thought. What makes this storyline hit so hard is how real it feels. This isn't about a clear-cut villain and victim, it's about control and how it builds slowly, quietly until it becomes overwhelming. Theo's influence isn't just in what he does, it's in how he changes Todd's perception of himself. And Todd's reaction, it's not weakness, it's survival. That snapping point isn't failure, it's the moment where instinct finally takes over, where the need to survive becomes stronger than the need to understand or justify what's happening. The consequences of this won't just disappear even after Todd gets distance. The psychological impact remains. Trust, confidence, sense of safety, those things don't just reset, they have to be rebuilt piece by piece. And this is where the story stops being about Theo chasing Todd and becomes about what fear does to a person when it's been stretched past its limit. Because Todd doesn't snap in a dramatic, clean way. It's messy, it's instinctive, and it's painfully human, like something inside him finally decides that surviving matters more than being understood. What really stands out here is how control has been doing the damage long before any running begins. Theo doesn't just threaten Todd physically or emotionally. He reshapes how Todd thinks about himself, and that kind of influence doesn't disappear just because you walk away. And that's what makes this so unsettling to watch. Because even in Escape, Todd isn't fully free yet. He's still carrying the residue of everything Theo has made him question. In my view, this is one of those storylines that goes beyond villain and victim labels, because it shows how coercion doesn't always look loud or obvious at first. Sometimes it builds slowly, that the breaking point feels like the only logical ending. But here's the question that really lingers. When Todd finally gets distance, will he feel relief first? Or will the fear still follow him even when Theo isn't there? And another one, if Theo realizes he's losing control completely, does he step back or does he escalate in a way that makes escape even harder? Looking ahead, it feels like this isn't the end of the danger, it's the beginning of consequences spreading outward. Because once a dynamic like this breaks open, it doesn't just disappear, it spills into everyone connected to it. So watch the aftermath closely, the silence, the hesitation, the way Todd reacts to normal situations again. Because sometimes the hardest part of escaping isn't the running, it's learning how to feel safe afterwards, and the journey has only just beginning.